The news continues in West Africa, where voters participating in the ongoing presidential election in Senegal have described the exercise as a decisive moment in the country. The voters said this as they gathered outside a polling station in Dakar to vote for their fifth president in an unpredictable race following 3 years of turmoil and political crisis. Two favorites have emerged among the 17 candidates, who include a sole woman, the governing coalition's former Prime Minister, Amadou Ba, and anti-establishment candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye.
Pour moi, toute élection doit être inscrite dans l'histoire. Elle est importante parce que c'est toujours un pas de plus que l'on fait. Mais j'avoue que celle-là, quand même, a une particularité. Justement, on est à un tournant de notre vie où il fallait vraiment que chaque Sénégalais prenne conscience de son devoir. Et c'est ce que nous avons fait. Et là, je me réjouis de voir que vraiment, on a pris la chose publique à cœur.
Pour le futur de ce pays, bien sûr. C'est un moment décisif. Il faudrait qu'on puisse accomplir notre devoir citoyen et puis voter pour l'avenir de ce pays, surtout pour l'avenir de ce pays. Donc, tout Sénégalais devrait faire ce geste-là.
Il y a eu beaucoup de manifestations, il y a eu beaucoup de morts et tout. Donc vraiment, on espère que le prochain président qui va arriver saura maintenir ça, juste maintenir l'ordre dans le pays. Et ce, à tous les niveaux, au niveau des ministères, au niveau de toutes les institutions du pays. Juste ça.
Parce qu'à chaque élection présidentielle, c'est un enjeu. Donc, et que l'enjeu, on doit faire tout pour que ça se passe bien. Et que le fait d'aller voter nous permet également de choisir notre futur.
Senegal's opposition figurehead Ousmane Sonko, who has been barred from standing in the presidential election, says victory for his party will be dazzling. He made this known after voting in the southern stronghold of Ziguinchor, while referring to the chances of his deputy anti-establishment candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye.
Convaincu qu'à l'issue de cette journée, la victoire sera éclatante et que ce soir, Inch'Allah, à 21h, nous aurons les premières tendances qui montreront que le candidat Bassirou Diomaye Faye passe à plus de 50%, à largement plus de 50% du suffrage.
Meanwhile, Senegal's outgoing President Macky Sall on Sunday warned presidential candidates against making premature election victory claims. Sall, after voting with his wife in the central western town of Fatick, said it is neither up to a candidate nor to a political camp to proclaim victory or results. And joining us on the news from Dakar, Senegal, to discuss this is Moriba Sissoko. He's an activist and a political leader. Thank you so much, Moriba Sissoko, for joining us on the news. Can you please unmute your device so that we can hear you?
Oh, yeah, sorry, sir.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, beautiful. So voting should have rounded off by now in Senegal. What is the situation like at various polling units across the country? Were there any red flags? What is your assessment of the voting exercise?
Thank you for having me. I think, since the morning to now, voting is going well, from the east to the north, to the south, to the west, the population, the youth, women and men are voting, normally. There is no incident. Even if there is, some center of vote that have been moved, from, area to another, they just mentioned to us, for example, in Kermassar, which is one of their neighbor that have a lot of, voters, have been moved, from where they originally, were supposed to vote, to another area. But people, as you know, they are very, very well connected. They're sharing also those information. But just to answer that to your question, from the beginning to now, everything is going well. People are voting, and we might go over, 6 p.m. because the Constitution allowed, voters, to vote, from 8 to 6. But we see that the percentage of people who are voting, is higher than in the afternoon than in the morning, which is meaning some regional, the regional, government can take the decision to allow those people to go, over 6, which is meaning also if there is more voters after 6, we can have maybe surprise, we can have maybe someone who can win, in the first round.
Okay, well, in a keenly contested election that we see between the Prime Minister Amadou Ba and Bassirou Diomaye Faye and 15 other contestants, is there a possibility that any of the leading candidates might be able to secure more than 50% of the votes that is required to win in the first round? Is it possible?
It's possible, and if it happens, it will be Bassirou Diomaye Faye. If you see the numbers that we're having, from the European continent, from France, Finland, we see that he's winning up to 66, percent. And in Asia, it's the same thing. In Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, in Turkey, we're seeing also he's winning over 60%, which is meaning if you combine those numbers, it's mean he is in the best position to be the one who lead. But as you know, the election is happening in Senegal, and the number of voters is really symbolic in Senegal. And what we mentioned also, is from the morning it was less than 50%, of participation, but now it's going higher. We're saying it's between 54 to 64. And I think if people keep, voting, what I'm feeling, my feeling is Bassirou Diomaye can win, in the first round, but nothing is done yet, but my expectation and observation that I have and number that I'm receiving, he could win in the first round.
So
but
you
not
mentioned.
Amadou Ba
Okay,
right.
so Moriba, you mentioned a couple of countries now where I believe that results are trickling in, and that has to speak to the issue around online voting. I'd like you to just speak more about that and how that might just be instrumental looking at the way this particular electoral voting process might sway and in whose favor, and what it means when we talk about electoral process and its maturity in Senegal.
Yes. Our electoral process is sometimes different than it is in Nigeria. We have faced 2-3 years of trouble, and many demonstration and death, but the system that Senegalese people use is a very fair system. We talk about some irregularities, but I think, and that is based on my experience, since 10 years, I'm involved in the political life, I'm involved in the activist life. I think it's a very transparent, system, and in all, center and people are voting, there is representative, from political parties, from Bassirou Diomaye, from all candidates, they have someone who represent them, and they start counting after the end of the election. And what we see, it's mean that, there is a really good job that have been done by the territorial, administration, even though it's mentioned, for example, in some areas, the flag for Bassirou Diomaye Faye, and because many people vote for him, but we think that from what we seeing from Dakar, at least everything is going well because his staff is going around, and not only his staff but all candidate staff are going around seeing how things are going. And I think our democratic process is not, I cannot say the best, but is one of the most secure and fair, which can provide us a very transparent election. I don't know
Okay,
if
so
I answer your question.
all right. So President Macky Sall made a statement warning political candidates or presidential candidates and electorates against making premature election victory claims. Is that born out of fear or facts?
Macky Sall, I respect my president because he's my president, but I think he's not someone who has to tell us how to react. from his 11 or 12 or 13 years, he never respect, the democratic, rules, Even he postponed our election, a day before the starting of the campaign. If the election happened at the day that it should happen, he will not have today this discourse, from to facing us. That said, I think we are in a democratic game. Everybody is free to claim. But I think, as I said you previously, the system is a very secure system. Even if you claim there is some organ and institution that, are dedicated, to declare who is the winner and who is losing, or if there is a need for a second round. But I think it's the propaganda. No one can tell people you're not gonna do the propaganda. Just to give an information, Ousmane Sonko, who is I can say the godfather of Bassirou Diomaye Faye, he voted in the south of Senegal. He just joined Dakar and he's going to the Bassirou Diomaye Faye headquarters. And you hear when he was saying up to 9 p.m. The victory will be their victory, And I think we are ready to hear from different candidates that they are the winner. But at the end of the day, our system is really prepared to those situations. By tomorrow, I think in the morning, numbers will be published, and we'll know if it's Bassirou Diomaye or Amadou or someone else.
Finally, Moriba, before I let you go, the fact that you are a political leader speaks more to this next question. Now, you said earlier that you respect Macky Sall because he's your president, and I'm looking at his administration that said it was going to reduce the consolidation of power at the center. He said it was going to do with issues around social justice, equity, and also ensure that people's lives matter, and of course improve the economy. But then we're also seeing an administration that recorded financial scandals, cracked down on civil liberties, and faltering economy. How would you describe his performance as a leader? Would you say he has failed, or would you say you still respect how he has administered over the country? Just about 30 seconds, your response.
I don't have any respect, for Macky Sall as a person, but as a president, I do respect him because he's an institution. As a young leader, I have been arrested more than 6 times and sent in jail because I just go and protest. Is it that democracy? Is it that human right? Is it that freedom of speech? No. More than 60 young Senegalese passed away because they have been killed. And killed because Macky Sall, he didn't want to leave the power. Is it democracy? Is it human right? Is it freedom of speech? No. More than 1,000 and 1,000 of my friends has been sent in jail. They spent at least 8 to a year because they just member of a political party. Is it democracy? Is it human right? Is it freedom of speech? No. Okay. You said when I become a president in 2012, I will have at least 10 to 20 ministers. My family will not be involved in the power. We saw his brother, Aliou Sall, being accused of, I don't want to say stealing, but taking more than billions and billions of Senegalese money. Is it that freedom of speech or democracy? No.
So basically you have reservations about how he ruled as a president since 2012 up to now. All right.
Exactly.
Moriba Sissoko, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.